My partner's favourite dish would have to be my sticky red wine lamb shanks, and I think it's because the lamb just gets really soft, falls off the bone, and the sticky red wine sauce. I get it really sticky with a little bit of cranberry jam, but we won't talk about that yet. That's for later. We need to get the lamb into the pan straight away. So a little bit of flour. We need to dust this because this is going to help thicken our sauce. I'm going to season this plain flour with a really good pinch of salt and a little bit of pepper. I'll add a little bit more pepper later on. And you can see my butcher has Frenched these lamb shanks to perfection. Frenching just means cleaning the bone up there. And you can see when you're looking for lamb shanks, they shouldn't be too big. They're really meaty and there's a little bit of fat on there. Fat is good because it's going to protect the actual lamb shank and keep it really moist. So a good glug of olive oil. Now that that's hot, I'm going to add our lamb shanks. So good sizzle there. Just turning it again in the flour. When you're coating the flour, make sure you just give it a good little tap there to get any excess flour off. Okay, now that they're in, we're going to give them at least 3 minutes on that side and then we'll turn them over. While that's happening, I can get onto the veggies. Classic veggies, you could also add some celery, but I'm just going to keep it really simple. 1 onion that I'm going to dice. Perfect. And 1 carrot, because the humble carrot just gives this such a wonderful sweetness there. I'm going to cut it into 4, gather it together, and we're going to just dice that the same size, roughly, as our onions. Now, I've got lots of garlic here. This garlic's going to go really sweet. I've got about 6 cloves here that I'm just going to roughly chop, bruising it first. All right, last bit of garlic there. Now, let's have a look at these lamb shanks. We'll turn them over. Perfect. That's what we're looking for, a deep golden colour. And we'll just do the other side just for another few minutes there. I'm going to start adding my veggies in now because I've got quite a lot of space in my pan here. So carrots and onions, they can go in at the same time around the meat, and I'll add the garlic and that can just sit on top of the onions there. And just give them a bit of a stir in that oil. And now these lamb shanks can come out just for a moment so they don't hog up the pan as much. And now we can give these vegetables a really good saute so they start to colour. A little bit unusual to add cumin to a pasta, but it's just a small amount. I just want a teaspoon of whole cumin. You don't want to use the cumin powder. I like the seeds for this. So they go into toast along with some rosemary. Now, rosemary is quite strong, but rosemary and lamb are best friends. So I'm going to add about 1/3 of this because it's actually quite a large piece of rosemary. That can go in now. We'll give this another stir. Right, now that we're getting some good colour on those carrots and the onions there, I can smell the cumin. We can put our lamb straight back in there. And now I can deglaze with some wine. Now, this is a 750 millilitre bottle, so we need about 500 millilitres here. It seems like quite a lot of wine, but you do need this to get that wonderful, rich red wine flavour. Again, leaving this for about 3 minutes, so it does reduce by about 1/3, and then I'll add the tomatoes and a little bit of stock. Now that this has reduced, I'm going to add 1 can of whole peeled tomatoes. If you're using fresh tomatoes, put them in before the red wine so they can cook off a little bit. Crush them with the back of a fork here. And now we can add the stock. Now you can see the saute pan that I'm using here. It's quite wide, it's deep. You need it to be deep because you need to cover the lamb shanks almost entirely with the liquid here. So this is perfect. Also, you do need a pan that has a lid and that can go into the oven. So casserole dishes work perfectly too. So this is going to cover a majority of our shanks there. All that's revealed is the bone. I'll actually flip that one over there so most of the meat is in the sauce there. The lid goes on. Now we need to cook this for about 2.5 hours to 3 hours, or until the meat falls off the bone, that's the best indication. So it could even take up to 3.5 hours, depending on how big your lamb shanks are. What I recommend is to just turn the lamb shanks in the sauce about halfway through the cooking process, just to ensure that it's cooking nice and evenly. And the oven, it's on at 160 degrees. I removed the shanks from the oven and just have a look at this. The smell of rosemary and cumin and the red wine just floods this room. So I'm just going to take our little shanks out. Be really careful because they're going to fall straight off the bone. Before I start to shred the meat and add the jam to the sauce, let's get our pasta on. I've got a big pot of boiling water over here. I'm going to add some salt. Always add salt to your water when cooking pasta. I've got 6 nests of fettuccine here. I don't crush them. They go straight in. Perfect. And just with your tongs, just loosen them up there. And we'll just let that cook for about 8 minutes. Now back to this sauce. I'm going to turn our sauté pan back on. We want to bring it to the boil. I'm adding cranberry jam to this. You only need a good tablespoon of this, so just allow that to melt in there. And then this is going to come to the boil. See how that's thickening up again? That's what we're looking for. So let that bubble away. It's going to reduce by another third. And while that's happening, I can shred the meat of this wonderful lamb. Have a look at this. See how it just falls off? Just gorgeous. Now you want to remove the bone. And any sinew there will take away too. So you can just pick this while this is bubbling away gently. Now look at this sauce. You can see that it's just coating the spoon. It's glossy, so the meat can go back in now. Yum. See how this sauce is really, really sticky. You can see it's coating all of the meat there. And now we can add the pasta. So I'll turn it off, get rid of the lid. I'm happy if a little bit of this water from the pasta cooks. It's a little bit starchy, so it works well. And we'll just slide that in there. And then just give it a good old stir, making sure it's all coated. Right, we'll just let that sit there just for a moment while we finish it off. The garnish is sort of like a gremolata without the garlic. So in a bowl, we just want to zest a little bit of lemon, so we extract as much of the flavour as possible. All of the oils from the lemon will go in there. A little bit of parsley, finely chopped. We'll add that, just give it a mix. A touch of olive oil in there, just a small amount. One last mix. So with some tongs, we're just going to get some of this pasta into the bowl. We'll make a little nest in the centre there. And you need loads and loads of meat here. The carrots there, the tomatoes, as much sauce as you can get on there is what we're looking for. And you know what? Sometimes I make the lamb ragu a few days ahead of time. It actually tastes even better when you reheat it slowly in the oven or on the stove top and then put fresh pasta through it. I'm going to add a bit of the parsley and the lemon on top. I tell you what, if you make this lamb ragu pasta for your partner, I guarantee you're going to be in the good books for not only a week, but for months.